everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Meet My Kagawa. Today, I want to show you what will make a stay at Mitoyotsuru Toji so unique. But right now, I'm actually on nearby Awashima Island. It's one of the Seto Inland Sea's art islands, and next year we'll be participating in the Setouchi Triennale, an art festival that happens here every 3 years. But first, let me take a look around, and then let's head on to our main event. Let's go. This post office behind me is actually the missing post office that was created for the 2013 Setouchi Triennale Art Festival. It doesn't actually deliver your mail anymore, but if you have something you need to say or someone you wish you could send a letter to that you just can't contact anymore for whatever reason, they'll take your letters here and they will hold them and they'll put them on display for other people to come see and maybe make a connection with. They say that if you find a letter that really speaks to you, you can even take it home with you if you realize that this letter was meant for you. It's actually a really interesting art piece, and you can still see it whenever you come by on the weekends. And we're here at Mitoyotsuru Toji, just a few minutes from the port from where we came back from Awashima Island. Now, looking at this building, it's not necessarily immediately obvious what's inside. I got close and couldn't really have told you if I didn't already know. And the reason for that is that this building actually used to be a sake brewery until 2005. Now, since 2020, it's been renovated and reopened as a guest house, but something that's really interesting about this building, it still retains a lot of the original architecture and original building materials from when it was a sake brewery. And you can see that during the renovation, it's been updated to kind of suit modern tastes now, and it's actually really beautiful out here. I think I need to add a couple of pictures to my Instagram account while we're here, but this confluence of the traditional architecture and the modern taste is already just from the outside really interesting, and I can't wait to see what's more going on inside. Ooh. Oh, wow. All of the equipment for the sake making process is still here. This is crazy. Like, look at this. So when they're making the sake, they have the rice mixed in with these liquids to ferment it, right? So they have that all stored in these huge vats. And then they take it from the vats and they have to squeeze out all the liquid to separate it from the rice granules. So the rice granules will be left behind in this huge press. And all of the liquid goes into this really deep pool right here. And I don't know if you can tell, but it looks to be maybe 5 or 6 feet deep. I think if I were to stand in it, you probably wouldn't be able to see me at all, but you can just imagine the crazy amount of sake that would come out of just one of these tanks. Gosh, and there's so many of them. I can see 5 just from here. Even more. If you look, they've got a fermentation room on the left for making traditional condiments. They say it would be really warm in there. And because they wanted to protect the fermentation process, there were really stringent rules about who could go in and when, just to make sure they don't kill off the bacteria that are fermenting their condiment. And we're really lucky because we got special permission to go in here. This is a koujimuro, or a fermentation room, basically. It's really insulated, so I think we'll notice a difference in the temperature when we go in. Watch your head. Ooh. Yeah, just getting through the doorway, it's noticeably several degrees warmer than outside, and the smell of the bacteria that they use to ferment the rice is really powerful in here. It's actually kind of nice. But basically, this is where they would make the koji, or the fermented rice that is the base of sake making. So they could put it down on this thing and leave it to ferment for a while. And if you can see these little lines above me, they look like they should be lights or something, but apparently they're actually a heat source. So it would keep this room nice and warm and allow the rice to ferment properly. And I was told that this is like a really important part of the sake making process, to the point where there are really stringent rules, or there were really stringent rules about who could enter and why and when, to make sure that no one killed off the bacteria, because this is essential to the whole process. What do you think? 10 feet? 11 feet? Like 2 of me at least. I don't know if you can tell how long this is. I can't even lift it out. This is for mixing when the rice is sitting in here. And they'd have songs so that everyone could do it in rhythm together. I don't think my form is very good, but something like this. So now we're going to be moving on from the portion where we can see a sake brewery that's been preserved to the part that's an actual guest house. So let's take a look inside. This room was also part of the brewery. This is where the brewers would take their breaks or relax, or maybe even have a nap if they needed to. And now it's become this nice living space. And actually the really interesting part of this as a guest house is that you're not just experiencing the sake brewing outside of the guest house before you enter, you're experiencing it from literally the moment you step into this entryway. So the whole concept of this place is that you become the rice that then is turned into sake. And it starts from the moment you step in. If you look up, these are the rice husks, and we are the rice that has fallen from these husks. And we're gonna have a transformative experience inside. As soon as I get my shoes off. So I've just become rice, which is kind of the quintessential feeling of moving to Japan and suddenly eating it every day. But now I have a chance to wear this. Got the logo and everything. This is modeled after the sort of clothing that the brewers would have worn. So I think I kind of get my space as an honorary brewer with this. Let's get a start on this process. So when you harvest rice, the first thing you have to do is you have to polish it. You have to get the husk off. So we're gonna go into here, the polishing room. And this is actually the entrance to the bathroom. So obviously if I was going to take a bath, I'd be taking off my clothes here to remove my husk. And after we've done that, we can go right into the bath. So the next step, after you take off the husk, is to clean the rice, right? So we come over here, and just like any sort of Japanese public bathing situation, you wash off first. You become clean, husked rice. And then we have to do the fermentation process. If you remember the Toji Room we were in earlier, this is where we would do that. You lie down in here, and just like the rice that's been inoculated with the bacteria, you too can ferment and become the koji, the basis for the sake. And then of course, once you've fermented for a little bit, we move over onto this. It is taking all my self-control not to get into this bath right now, but this is where you would stay, like you're in the big drums we saw earlier, where you sit for a while and you start to really begin to brew. So once we do that, that's our beginning to our sake, and we would come over at the end. I almost forgot the most important part. So when you become rice, when you become sake rather, I almost forgot the most important part. So when you're becoming sake, it's not enough to just have yourself in the water, right? We need to add something here to really get the whole process going. So I've been given this, which it's not just your average bath salts. This contains some of the leaves from the sake making process, the bits of rice that were left behind after all of the sake was removed. So we're just gonna spice up this bath. I hope my practice from earlier paid off. Let's see how my technique is now. It has a nice smell, and it feels, you know how you stay in the bath too long and it dries you out? I really don't think this would do that. It feels moisturizing. So when we're done in here, the next thing we have to do is really let the brewing process take its time, right? You don't brew overnight, but in this case, I guess we do, because after this, okay, and there's also an outdoor bath. Now these are my personal favorite, but I really like, you can still get a good view of the sky, and this chimney right here is probably the tallest part of this building and used to be the chimney where the smoke would exit when the big bath was heated from below. So our final steps are going to be first over here. Now, we've got a nice big table so you can have a nice gathering of friends, all kind of brew ourselves together as we're waiting. And we also have a kitchen, which means that you can pretty much make whatever you want while you're here. Personally, I'd drink some sake while I was staying here, just to make sure the whole thing really is going all the way through. We've also got the great option of this beautiful covered walkway that's a traditional part of Japanese architecture becoming less and less common, and it's the perfect place to enjoy a very traditionally poured glass of sake. Now, I didn't know how to do this, but I'm told you're supposed to lift both, and it's not a shot, you take small sips. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's more inside of this, so I have a long way to go, but I'm gonna keep working on it. Okay, so I still have actually a lot more to do, and you don't have to pour it into the cup, but I think I like the sort of, this is really nice. Just the whole atmosphere. So we've arrived at our final step. Now, regular sake can't be done in a night, but if you are becoming the sake, you absolutely can. We have two really gorgeous bedrooms in here. This one is made in the shape of a sake barrel, and the one over there is in the shape of those square cups that the sake glass rests in. Now, the part that I really like about this is while you're resting, you can have this room split up if you want. You don't have to have everyone together. So if you have a mixed group or if you just want a little bit of privacy, it's really absolutely doable here. Because then remember, you're becoming sake overnight. You want to get everything you need to make sure that you become the highest class sake possible. So you can have 6 people in here and 11 throughout the entire room. So this is really, really great for a huge group, or even just anyone who wants to become sake. I hope you've enjoyed today's look at the Mitoyotsuru Toji sake brewing experience and guest house. For more information about availability or fees, please look in the description box below for a link to their website. And don't forget, while you're down there, to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye!